I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is Where Are They Now?, where I'm going to take a look at the games I played a year ago and the games I played 5 years ago, and see how those have fared across that time. Specifically, I'm looking at the games that were new to me in 2024, in February of 2024, and the games that were new to me in February of 2020, and seeing how time has fared across 4 categories. The games that were not for me, the games that I liked but didn't feel the need to keep, the games I kept and then left, and then the games that I kept and are still here. We're going to go ahead and start off with 2024, and I will say, by the way, if you've been watching this series, this is actually a pretty short one, all things considered. I don't know what happened last February, but I played fairly few new-to-me games last February, or I logged fairly few new-to-me games. Either one is possible. If I don't log something, I don't remember that I played it, and that is what it is, but it's a very short video compared to past videos in this series. That said, in the Not For Me category of February of 2024, we have 2 games. There was Hickory Dickory from Plaid Hat Games that I played and didn't feel like it's not a bad game. It's not a bad game. I guess the Not For Me category, to distinguish, Not For Me means like there was never a part of me that even debated whether I would keep it. That's the way I'd put the Not For Me category. Once we get to the liked but didn't keep category, at that point I kind of do want to have all the games, but I recognize I'm just not going to play all the games, but I did at least like the game. That's the distinguishing aspect between those categories. But in the Not For Me category, we have Hickory Dickory from Plaid Hat Games. Honestly, I don't remember a lot about this. I played it once a year ago, never reviewed it. It was fine. I remember just not being overly entranced with the puzzle at play, but I couldn't give you a detailed review. It's been a year, and I remember just playing it once and being like, I don't even feel the need to review this. I don't feel the need to play it more. It's just not for me. They also played Bunny Boom. Bunny Boom was a light game that I played for crowdfunding coverage. It was fine, but it was a little too chaotic and a little too light for what I'm personally looking for. It was just too chaotic, too light, not for me personally. And then lastly, there was Harry Potter the Miniatures game from Night Games. I believe there's drama around this project in general about when it's going to deliver, if at all. I mean, I assume it will, but definitely some drama around the timeliness of this project. But as far as Harry Potter the Miniatures game goes from Night Games, I thought the game itself was fine. Like, I debated putting this in the liked but not for me category, but again, using that qualification of I never even entertained keeping it, while I did enjoy the gameplay, any miniatures tactical game where you have to like build your army and has a ton of keywords is just not something that I'm going to pick and play. But this is like a smidgen away from being in the like but didn't keep category because I did like it. It would take an insanely good game for me to keep a game like that, and it was just a very good game. Not even very good. It was a good game. I enjoyed it. Good tactical decisions. Not my personal preferred genre. In the category of games that I, liked but didn't keep, we have 2 over here. We have Camel Up. I played Camel Up I'm not even sure if it was the first time or not. Like, I know I've had Camel back way back when it first came out, but I don't think I ever played it back then. I think I finally played it for the first time a year ago, and I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fine game of trying to bet and then just gamble as far as where things are going to land and this little aspect of carrying a stack of camels. It was a totally fine racing game. Not my preferred genre, but it's fine and fun, just not one that I feel the need to dive into more. And then there was Flow. Flow from Pika Games, the offshoot company from Fantasia Games. Flow is fine, and I enjoyed it more than fine. Like, I gave it a 3.5 if I'm not mistaken, but I liked Flow. Flow had a lot of things that were going for it. The downside of it is it was a little too long and a little too fiddly, and there are just better games. Like, if I'm going to play a rewarding fiddly Euro game, I'll play Endless Winter, which is amazing. I love it. And Flow was a good game that had all the fiddliness of Endless Winter, but without the payoff, if that makes sense. So I still had fun with it. I still enjoyed it. Definitely in the like but didn't keep category, but it's not one that, at least in its current state, and it's interesting because that very much was a prototype, and I am intrigued to see the final version of the game, but at least as of right now, not one that I feel the need to play. From there, we have the kept and left category. Only one in this category, which is good because it's the way I like to do it. Actually, I don't know. I apologize. I don't know. This is the wrong category. It's not the kept but left category. I don't know why I put this in the wrong category. In the liked but didn't keep category, we have Dying Light the board game. I never kept it. It's a prototype. There's never a world in which I kept Dying Light the board game. I played Dying Light the board game from Glass Cannon Unplugged. I enjoyed the game, and again, it's one that, like Flow, I'm open to seeing the final game because I did enjoy it, but it's one that instinctively, in that genre, I think I have too many games as it is, and while it was good and enjoyable, I think I prefer other games in this, giant miniature, sprawling landscape, building buildings. I think there's just too much. Even just the building buildings, like, unless you're figuring out how to store that, I think it's one of those games that's going to have a lot of work to getting it to the table, and I already have so many that I have to split my playtime amongst, so it's one that I want to keep, but then I also recognize it would probably be in the kept but left category, which I try to avoid. I try to at least be realistic with my time, or just acknowledge that I like it and won't keep it. Those are my preference, versus being optimistic. I mean, I like being optimistic, but I try to keep games based on realism, if that makes sense. In the kept but left category, we therefore have nothing. And last year, there are no games that I kept that have left, at least in the past year. As far as the games that I kept that are still here, we have two over here. We have Ostia. Ostia is one that I played for the first time in, last February. I played it along with the Pirates expansion. That's not actually true. I played the Ostia, the base game, then I played with the Pirates expansion, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed Ostia. I saw it got in the top 10 somewhere in Dice Tower's top 100 games, and I think it's well-deserved. Well, not top 10 for me, but it's a very, very solid game with a good rondel mechanism that I really enjoyed and I'm looking forward to playing more when my copy shows up. Then I have the other one would be Confusing Lands. Confusing Lands over here. I played it for the first time a year ago, and I really like it. They actually just introduced it on Board Game Arena, so if you haven't had a chance to play it, you can try it out on Board Game Arena. Although I will say, I don't think it's the smoothest implementation. It's a little fiddly. This is one of those games where I don't think I'm likely to actually play it on Board Game Arena that much. I vastly prefer it in person, even just fiddling with the cards and trying to make it all work together. Honestly, if you bounce off it in Board Game Arena, I would say there's a decent chance that it might just be because of the implementation and not because of the game itself. As far as the games from 2020, again, we have 4 categories over here, but again, not a lot of games, which is generally more true 5 years ago because I was playing less games as frequently. I play a lot more nowadays. But anyways, in the not for me category in 2020, we have nothing. In the category of games that I liked but did not keep in February 2020, we have a few over here. We have Underwater Cities, which I played because I heard a lot of people compare it to Terraforming Mars. I didn't really see that comparison, and I enjoyed it, but I did not feel the need to keep it amongst the many Euro games that are already on my shelf. Speaking of Euro games, we have Paladins of the West Kingdom and Architects of the West Kingdom that I played for the first time in February of 2020. Both of them are solid games. Architects I even tried coming back to several years later because I felt like there's enough in Architects that I want to like it more. I love the mechanic of putting down larger and larger groups of meeples, hoping to get larger and larger actions until eventually someone captures all your people. But I like that mechanic, but I don't like the rest of the game around it. And Paladins, honestly, I don't remember a lot about Paladins. I remember specifically, fun fact for you, I remember playing Paladins for the first time while I was somewhat in the fever pitch of COVID. I had COVID that week. I only for sure have had COVID one time, and I only tested positive one time. But when I had COVID, I played Paladins that week, and I remember struggling through playing it, so it might not be a fair representation of my experience with the game, but I think most games in the West Kingdom series I haven't heavily worked for me. They've always been games I wanted to like more than I actually did like, and I enjoyed Paladins, and I enjoyed Architects. Both of them are games that have not only have they not lasted, I've never felt inclined enough to even keep them to see if they will last. Again, I did go back to Architects years later to try it out with the expansions and a new group of people and see, and same thing happened. Then I played it on Board Game Arena again a year later, and still, it's a game I keep trying to hit on, and it doesn't work for me. And then lastly in this category, we have Mezzo. Mezzo is one that I heard good things about. Well, that's not true. I backed it because it looked cool. That's what I mean to say. And Mezzo is one that it has the kind of general arc that Blood Rage has, and it wasn't bad, but it certainly didn't deliver to me in a way that Blood Rage has. It has those 3 arcs. It has the monsters. The overall puzzle of it felt... It was good. It was good. I don't mind Mezzo. It didn't really land in the way I want those kinds of games to land for me. In the category of games that I kept and then left, we have one over here. We have Sorcerer City from Druid City Games. I really like Sorcerer City. The one thing is, there is one thing that holds it back for me, which I'll explain in a second, but I really enjoy the game. It's a lot of tile laying and trying to build these larger group of colors to manage your economy of those colors, and then to go ahead and get points for that, and then to trade them in for new tiles. So it's got a little kind of bag building with a little real-time element. Lots of fun things happening in the game. Overall, for me, it comes across as very themeless, and that did eventually lead to it leaving. It's a good game. I recommend it. Definitely recommend checking out Sorcerer City if you have a chance. For me, it's one that I did hold on to for a while. I don't remember how long, but eventually down the road, when making all those cuts and culls, it is one that didn't last for me. But I do like it. I do recommend it. Check it out if you have a chance. It's hard to track down. Past that, we have the category of games that kept and are still here. We have 2 in that category, although the first one gets an asterisk. The one that gets an asterisk is Zombie Kids Evolution. I played through the entire Zombie Kids Evolution as well as the entire Zombie Teens Evolution. The problem is it's gone now because it's a legacy game, but I put it in the category of games that I kept and are still here because in theory it would still be here. If they have a new Zombie Kids version, I'll pick it up right away. My kids have enjoyed it. I've had fun with it. It's on the lighter side for sure, but it's basically my intro to legacy game for the family and all that. I like it, I recommend it. Because I finished it, it is technically in the Captain Left category, but because, I think for me, legacy games, I classify them based off of, like, it didn't leave because, I don't know, what's the right category for these things? What's the right category for a legacy game that you finished? Is it in the Captain Left? And honestly, the right category for me is whichever one I put it in, and then qualification around my answer. That's the right category. So categories matter less than the actual words we speak, and sometimes we have to categorize things, but sometimes we could just do whatever. Point is, I like the game. If it wasn't for the fact that it's a legacy game that you complete, it would still be here. In fact, my son still asks for it back, so it may well one day be back here. Anyways, the one that really has stuck around is the one that is currently over here the entire video, Watergate. Watergate I played for the first time in February 2020, and oh my dear lord, it is an incredible game that has held up for me, and it is not going anywhere anytime soon. I have deluxified bits and everything, although that hasn't stopped me from getting rid of a game. This is here because it still delivers an excellent, tense two-player experience. One of the better tug-of-war kind of games. You're juggling over different things. Card-driven gameplay, lots of events, lots of things to manage. I really enjoy Watergate and still recommend checking it out. Years later, it's still one of the best in class. If you are looking for one that's similar and yet very, very different, check out Match of the Century. Kind of similar vibes, very different. I prefer Watergate. Match of the Century is very, very good. Anyways, and until next time, I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. This is Where Are They Now? The series where we, try to get a sense of what actually lasts over time as opposed to just what's currently the cult of the now. In any case, and as always, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., which I said already, but I hope you have a good one.